Hi, I'm Dave Chesson of Kindlepreneur.com. When you go to publish your book on KDP, you're going to see 7 boxes where you can enter in your 7 Kindle keywords. The thing about it is that Amazon actually allows you to put in 50 characters, which are letters and spaces, in each box. So this leaves authors with the question of, should I just write in a keyword in each box, or should I write as many words as possible in each of the boxes? Basically, what is the best way to fill in those 7 boxes so that my book will show up more on Amazon and thus make more sales? Well, to answer that definitively, we at Kindlepreneur did a full experiment as well as access the database of Publisher Rocket, a powerful book marketing tool, so as to prove that the best method for authors to get their books indexed and ranking and thus increase their discoverability on Amazon. This method also includes some of the rule changes that Amazon has recently done, as well as a key tactic that was unearthed with the new Amazon category system. And what's even cooler is after I published this originally, Amazon's official KDP page posted saying to use this technique to optimize your book for more sales, which is pretty cool. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon next to it so as to get notified when my next video comes out. And with that, let's begin. Okay, so before we get into the approach on how to fill in those boxes, I first want to go over a core concept that I think is incredibly important and will help you to better understand our findings, and that is the concept of indexing and rankings. Indexing is where Amazon acknowledges that your book should show up for a keyword or keyword phrase that you want. So when someone types in a keyword phrase into Amazon, you'll notice in the top left corner it says there are a certain number of books that show up for that keyword. That means there are that many books that indexed for that phrase. The second important phrase is rankings. You see, you could be ranking all the way at the bottom for that index phrase, or you could be ranking at the top. Now, ranking well for a keyword is very important. You see, we found that if you rank number 1 for a keyword, you can expect that 27% of the people who type in that keyword will click on your book. But if you rank number 2, then it is 12%, then 9%, and then 8%, and so on. So getting your book indexed for a phrase is just the beginning. You want to rank well for phrases so that your book shows up in front of those shoppers and you get more clicks and thus more sales. Okay, so now that you understand those 2 very important concepts, let's go ahead and start to get into some of the things that we found from the experiment as well as Publisher Rocket's database that are very important to filling out your 7 Kindle keyword boxes. Number 1. By filling more words into those boxes, you will index for more words and phrases on Amazon as a whole. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? But before you run off and just put as many words into a box, hold on for 1 second. There is more to know. Number 2, Amazon takes all the combinations of the words you put inside one of those boxes and they rearrange it and you index for all of those as well. So say, for example, one of those bunches of words you put in one of those boxes is romance, hot, summer, wild, betrayal. Then in this case, you'll index for the single phrase of romance, hot, summer, wild, and betrayal. You'll also rank for the 2 words put together like hot romance, wild betrayal, and so on. And also 3-word combinations like wild hot romance or wild summer romance, hot betrayal romance, and so on. So in conclusion, Amazon takes all the combinations of the words in the box and indexes you for them. Okay, so in number 1 and number 2, we learned that Amazon will index you for even more the more you put inside of the box. However, in number 3, we found out a really important thing. The more words or phrases you put inside that box, the lower your initial rankings will be. Basically, another way of looking at it is if you put more words inside that box, you diminish your argument with Amazon that you should show up for that particular phrase. Number 4, recently when Amazon changed their category system, Publisher Rocket discovered an incredible thing for authors. Currently, you can select your categories inside of KDP. However, Amazon will go and change your categories if they so choose, and quite frankly, they do this a lot. Well, Publisher Rocket discovered how and why they are doing this. It turns out Amazon uses the keywords in your 7 Kindle keyword boxes to decide if you should be in that category or what category you should be in. More importantly, as I'll show you later, Publisher Rocket discovered what keywords Amazon likes for what categories. So those with Publisher Rocket can go to a category and easily click to see which keywords are attached to that category. Also, before we move into the strategy, there are also a couple of things that you might want to know about those 7 boxes as well. Using duplicate words in the boxes doesn't help you rank better, but doesn't hurt you either, even if Amazon has a stern warning about doing this. So don't worry if you have a word that is in your title and you want it in one of your boxes. Also, keywords in the title and subtitle carry much more weight than in the 7 Kindle Keyword boxes or KDP boxes. And finally, Amazon won't rank you for a made-up word or a word they don't think is a searchable phrase. So just because you put something in a KDP box doesn't mean Amazon will acknowledge it. Okay, so now that we understand the concept of indexing and ranking, as well as some of the things that Amazon does with those boxes, let's go ahead and develop the most optimal KDP boxes strategy for you. To do this best, it is most optimal to fill your boxes out like this with 3 key areas. 1, devote at least 3 boxes to a specific phrase you absolutely want to rank well for. 2, devote 2 boxes to filling in with the leftover words and phrases. And 3, devote 2 boxes to category-specific phrases. You see, we want to index for as many keyword phrases, but ensure we rank best for the most important phrases, and finally ensure we stay in the categories we truly want to be a part of. Okay, let's go through all 3 and the best tactics for choosing them. Start off with finding a specific phrase you absolutely want to index and rank well for. As we said earlier, if you have a specific phrase in this box and you don't fill the rest of the box with more words, you will initially rank better for that phrase. So how do we do this? Well, those with Publisher Rocket, this should be incredibly easy. Just start with initial keyword search. Rocket then finds phrases connected to your initial input and lists them. More importantly, it will tell you how many searches a month that phrase gets and how competitive it is. Another key benefit is that it has a red, yellow, green system. Not only does this help you know what is a good number or bad number, that system also takes into account keyword phrases that make sales and uses that to show you whether it is green or red. When choosing a phrase for these first 3 boxes, you want a very descriptive phrase that isn't broad like romance, but is instead something that truly describes your book, like wholesome second chance romance. Next, you want that phrase to have a good amount of searches so that when you rank well for it, you get people to find it. And it helps when, by the way, Publisher Rocket's green shows up for the numbers. And finally, you want to make sure it isn't too competitive so you can rank well for it. Okay, so once you have that, it's time to fill out the second section, the 2 boxes devoted to other words or phrases. These are the words or phrases that do describe your book well, but perhaps they weren't as descriptive as the other ones, or they didn't have enough traffic, as in enough searches. In this case, take as many words as you can fit and put them in here. Whatever you do, don't use commas or quotations, and instead just write them all in. Okay, and finally, the category boxes. As I said, Amazon really will remove you from the categories you choose and put you in categories you didn't. They use your keywords as a way to do this. Therefore, if you want to be in a certain category, you need to use certain keywords to ensure you stay in it. If you don't have Publisher Rocket, you will need to guess at category-rich words and start filling them in here. If you have Rocket, then this is incredibly simple. Just find your category in the category feature. Click Keywords. Rocket will then provide you with a list of keywords our system has seen that connect you best to the category on Amazon. Just go ahead and select those that best fit your book and put them into those 2 remaining boxes, trying to fill up the boxes as much as you can like we did in the last 2 boxes. If you don't have enough category keywords to fill both boxes, then just use some of the other filler keywords that didn't make it. Okay, so there you have it. With this strategy, you will have your book indexing in more keywords, but also showing up best for the best keywords as well, all the while improving your ability to stay in the categories you want. And because of that, you will not only increase the number of people that find your book, but in result, you will make more continuous sales. For those of you who have Publisher Rocket, you'll actually know what phrases you should target and which ones you should work towards ranking well in. If you don't have something like Publisher Rocket, then you're going to have to kind of take a guess and hope that the words or phrases that you're putting the effort into are the right ones that will actually help your book to benefit. But regardless of what tool you're using or how you're coming up with those keywords, this is the most optimal strategy for filling in those 7 KDP boxes and thus giving your book the most connection with Amazon so as to help Amazon know what your book is, where to put it, and when to show it. And with that, I'm Dave Chesson of Kindlepreneur, signing off. Cheers.